Hey everyone, welcome to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
Fuego here.
I'm Andrew Mercer.
Marcia Parker.
And we're here to do another brand new review for you guys for a movie that is hitting theaters this Friday. As you're seeing this, you probably got a couple of days before that actually happens. But we got to go see an early screening of Don't Breathe, starring Stephen Lang and a couple of other younger actors who I don't know off the top of my head.
Kid from Goosebumps.
Yeah, and it was directed by Fede Alvarez, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
All right,
indeed.
cool. Got that one right.
Yeah, he did that Evil Dead remake, actually.
Yes, absolutely. And this one is basically about a trio of petty thieves. You can call them petty thieves because they purposely try and keep their amounts low. Mm-hmm. And they find a new mark who happens to be a blind ex-war veteran that also has sort of a sad backstory that they find out. So they wrestle with, do they or don't they actually try and attempt this, but turns out that the prize on the inside ends up being worth it to them, so they give it a try. And while they do it, things go wrong relatively quickly, and the owner, played by Stephen Lang, gets wind of it and takes things into his own hands very literally by taking care of one of the trio, and then it becomes a game of cat and mouse with the other two locked inside, having to find a way out and, if possible, find their prize along the way as well.
Now, mind you, this was all in the trailer, by the way. This film really reveled a lot, so...
Well, it didn't. It felt like more the first half of the movie is what the trailer was, which was actually a smart thing to do. We did not watch the Red Band trailer that came out a week before the film, so there might have been things from the second half of the movie in that, so we're only basing our opinions based on the first trailer, but from what I saw, they didn't reveal more than the first half, which was fine for me.
I didn't want to know that friend was getting killed, but in any event. Besides that...
We had to know the stakes were real going into the movie, I think.
True.
Yeah.
So, let's get into it. What do you guys think of how the story played out?
I really enjoyed it. I dug all the characters. Everybody's kind of like the anti-villain. Like, you're kind of rooting for everybody, but and not at the same time, because you don't really know. You're really conflicted when it comes to the characters, and I think that's excellent storytelling, because in real life, everybody has their own side. It's not good versus bad or us versus him. I mean, I was rooting for both at one point.
Everyone's got shades of gray.
That's what I was going to mention, is that there is no clear-cut good or bad person in this film. They're all just varying shades of it.
Mm-hmm.
So
they're all for themselves, really. But
very much so.
Andrew, what did you think of the film?
I liked it a lot. It was still gruesome and had that horror-esque to it, but it was more of a thrilling movie.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like Green Room.
They drop out the sound, and they get you on the scares and stuff like that. But just the overall tone, like you said, the villain becomes the hero, becomes the villain, becomes the hero. It's constantly flip-flopping. Yeah, just kind of a fun, wild ride.
Yeah. There was some real gruesome stuff, which we'll get to the effects eventually, but what I'm referring to are actually moments, not even necessarily the effects. There are some actually gruesome moments, and the one thing in particular that's springing to mind is when a character...
cringeworthy.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going for. There are some moments where you're just like, oh man, and that is effective storytelling. Like and here's the thing, I was engaged the entire time.
Same.
I felt it got a little bit Return of the King-y towards the end with the multiple places where it felt like they could have ended the movie.
Think it's done. Ha! Gotcha!
Yeah, that happened more than once, which was a little like, okay, I'm sure people are getting a little antsy now. But I was still in, and I thought that it was an extremely successful film. I mean, we had a recent movie hit Netflix that we reviewed called Hush that dealt with a lot of sound dropping out at times and playing with that, and I really liked how they did that with this.
How about the fact that once they got into the house, there was pretty much like 5% dialogue. It was mostly just movement and building tension with the scenarios being presented. It was taut, it was tense, and that was what the film did best, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that was excellently done.
Yeah. I think this was done way better than Hush was done, because I cared about...
How did I know you were going to say that?
I have a legitimate reason. It's because I actually cared about the characters, and I thought, like, Hush had some really great points when it comes to the cinematography and the sound effects, and even some of the practical effects that it had. But with this one, I felt like you got the whole package, and I was really engaged. Like you guys said, it was a really awesome ride to go through, and even the twists were fun too. I didn't feel disappointed.
They kept you guessing, which was good.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the acting. What did we think of the acting? I thought obviously Stephen Lang shined.
Oh,
he was amazing
chilling.
For as little as he said and stuff like that. He did all acting just body movements and looks and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to think of a look from a blind man being devastating at times, because they did a great job with his eyes and making them look almost spectral or just unnerving, you know?
Yeah.
He's got a serious tone throughout the whole movie, but there is a point where you can tell the switch is flipped and he just becomes, his training comes back to him.
He reverts right back to
his whole vet stuff comes back to him. I thought that was cool because at first you just kind of, you feel bad for the guy almost.
Of course, as you should.
You don't, but this whole thing is just this crazy scenario that's going to play out. Yeah. And then once you start realizing, this guy's a machine.
Yeah.
He can do some crazy
And there's
stuff.
a lot of cause and effect too, not just with his backstory, but with everything that happens, and all the energy moves through the film very beautifully. And I actually, without mentioning performance-wise camera work, I guess we will get into that at some point soon. But the fluidity, it really just kept you right there with the characters. Like that opening scene when they're first getting into the house itself. Yeah. Just the movement behind every character was just so seamless and so engaging, and really just put you right there with those characters and their great performances.
Yeah. I did want to mention about Mr. Lang's performance. His character was so dynamic because he would be super vulnerable, and then 5 seconds later, and his story was so compelling because you're trying to defend your house, and then he was broken at some points, and then he was super on at others. It was just crazy the way he was able to flip, like you said, flip the switch like that. I thought it was really cool.
And I thought it was neat because there was actually a surprising amount of depth for a movie that took place essentially in one location.
Right.
And that was surprising. I thought going into it, I'm like, really, an hour and a half cat and mouse in a single house? How's that going to work? But they did a good enough job where there was stuff that the characters uncovered. Yeah. Numerous things that the characters uncovered.
Yeah.
And so
it was very Laird.
Yeah. The plot continued on in a very well done way. Yeah. Now, let's talk about the set dress. And then we'll talk about the camera and the effects. But the set dress first. What did you guys? I thought the house was set up great. Yeah. I thought it was an extremely effective location. Yeah, the neighborhood set a tone for sure.
I see so many people filming in Detroit now because there's those creepy old abandoned neighborhoods there, and it sets the tone very well.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of funny because they kind of flipped the switch on the robbers, because what seems like an ideal location to rob somebody turns out maybe not the best place.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a wise idea to rob a veteran in the first place, man.
Yeah.
That fool's crazy a lot of the time. There's a little lacking logic there. And if I could mention anything with, back to the scripting as we're moving on, is I felt like in certain instances in the film, illogicality presented itself, especially in the third act. But hey, what can you do?
But let's talk about the cinematography, because they did a lot of really interesting things. Again, you'd think that they might be limited because it's just the one location, but nowadays that doesn't matter. They can work stuff. There was a shot that started, at a midpoint in the bedroom, and it went all the way under the bed, and it looked up at what was underneath the bed, and then it came back around and out from underneath. Stuff that you obviously can't do without digital assistance, but that sort of thing is really engaging because it's not something you see normally.
And you're telling the audience something. You're like, okay, I'm going to show you a few things that around the house are going to come and play later, and then you're like, okay, I wonder how that's going to play out. Why are they showing it to me? Why are they making it kind of dramatic the way they're doing it? And you're like, oh. When it's revealed, you're like, ooh, okay, I gotcha.
Well, it was also a great example of just creative filmmaking on the cheap, basically, sticking to one place predominantly, and yet using every part of this house, from crawl spaces to basements to pretty much every room. We saw this house top to bottom, and they used the low-budget filmmaking in every creative capacity possible.
You even saw the in-between of floors.
That's what I was thinking too,
They didn't hold back. They showed you everything. There was no place to hide.
Yeah.
Very true. Very
and
true.
Then we saw the characters try.
They tried a lot.
Well, to that end, they weren't always successful. So let's talk about the effects, which there was some gore. There was enough of it that pleased me. There wasn't a ton or anything like that, but there was actually some stuff other than gore that was equally effective.
Way grosser, maybe.
But I thought that the gore that we did get was very well done. What about you guys?
Yeah, the one thing that caught me off guard was anytime a bullet was fired, I had no idea where it was going. No idea where it was going.
Neither did he. He had a general idea.
Yeah.
I mean, just even the
shit.
way that people were lined up, you're just like, oh, they're good. So
Yeah.
It was, it just kind of added to the whole mystery of the whole thing. You'd see somebody get up and run away, you're like, wait a minute, aren't they supposed to be? And then everything played out the way it was supposed to.
There's a lot of it was mostly practical effects and noises and audio, which they did.
Well, the sound design. Let's finish up with the sound design.
Oh my god!
Amazing. I mean, we talked about the fact that they would bring the audio out at times when they were trying to bring you into Stephen Lang's world. Like they'd do a slow push in on him, like listening, and they would drop the audio out, so you'd really focus and you just hear like that whine that you'll hear if you have tinnitus like I do.
Also, spots where they shot the gun, and hearing would be at least temporarily just drowned out by just like wavy nothingness, and I thought that was effective too.
Yeah. Other side of that is every once in a while, I think the dryer came on. And that sent the guy into a fit. So
yeah, there were a couple moments like that. Yeah.
Super loud. He was hypersensitive, which he would have to be. And maybe he's not hypersensitive all the time, but in that sort of environment, he's listening. He's listening for movement. He's listening. He wants to get whoever is in his house, and so everything is super sensitive to him. Sort of all that adrenaline running. There was another cool effect that I wanted to mention. It was when the lights went out and when everything went dark for everybody else, but he's living in the dark. But what I thought was really cool is because it wasn't like night vision.
It's not your mama's night vision. No.
Right, and then you saw their pupils. Their pupils were super dilated, and you can totally be like, okay, they're in the dark. They can't see anything.
Well, yeah. It looked like it too. The way that they were going about their emotions, like they had their hand on something, or they were feeling around. It wasn't like, okay, let's go, and they're running down the middle of the aisle, not touching anything.
Yeah.
That was a really effective.
It really made me feel like when the lights go out and your eyes just adjust enough to where you kind of make out shapes and stuff.
Which is what happened too.
Yeah.
Remember, it was total darkness and then just a little.
It's just a little bit, and I was like, that's a really cool effect because it's not the night vision. It really made me feel like I'm like in the dark with them. It was pretty cool.
So all in all, I think it was a very successful film. I mean, are we all happy with what we got?
Yeah.
Indeed, yeah.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed it a lot.
Satisfied.
Beautiful. Well, I think that's going to cover our thoughts on Don't Breathe, you guys. We're not going to spoil it in this one. We'll let you guys take a moment, go out and see it.
There's some stuff.
Yeah, there is. No, there's some stuff, absolutely.
You definitely want to watch this one.
But make sure you come back here and let us know in the comments below what you thought of it. We want to know. We want to talk to you guys. We want to hear your thoughts on the particularly nasty bits, and nasty in multiple different usages of the term.
Once again, layered.
Layered. Yes.
There's a lot of layers to this onion,
Yeah, exactly. So, thanks very much for watching, guys. I've been Cecil Laird.
Gracias, I've been Jaime and Fuego.
I'm Andrew Mercer.
And Marcia Andrew.
And until next time, remember,
Stay scared.